NOMADIK Wheels out of Santa Barbara, California, a very small company. You'd likely have never heard of them, and guess what? No offense to their marketing team, but I had never heard of them either. They offer wheel sets for every style of riding imaginable, from cross-country to trail to enduro to downhill. They even offer a wheel set for e-bikes. And even more, their wheel sets are generally several $100s less expensive than comparable wheel sets from other brands. But let's face it, carbon wheels are expensive, and even though they are less expensive, if they're junk, they become expensive junk. Now, I've been riding this wheel set exclusively for almost a month now. I've put them through their paces and all the rocks that I could find. So let's get on the bike, hit some trails, and I will give you all of my thoughts on whether or not you should consider NOMADIK wheels for your next set of carbon wheels. Now, my thoughts on carbon wheels altogether are this. Are they worth it for you? I can't say that, and I'm not the type of person to try to talk somebody into expensive purchases. Just makes me too uncomfortable. But I'll tell you this, from my experience, if you asked me 4 years ago, I would have said no, aluminum rims are fine. Because to me, as long as they were round and somewhat true, they would bash through rocks and I would be fine. A lot of people think carbon rims are fragile and they offer just a weight benefit. But that's not the case, and I really realized that, 3 or 4 years ago. In the area that I ride, these trails are just full of angular rocks and they want nothing but to beat up your wheels. And I thought because of that, it wasn't worth investing or spending money on carbon wheels. However, as I look back, that was a mistake because I was constantly denting rims and bending them back into place. I was constantly pinch flatting tires. I was dealing with loose spokes. I was dealing with broken spokes all the time. And I spent so much money on various pairs of aluminum wheel sets to try to find a better one, that had I just invested in carbon wheels, it would have saved me money actually, and a lot of headache. Once I put the carbon wheels on, it really was just a put them on and just forget about them. So the specific rims I'm riding are the El Capitan 305 rims. 305, I believe, distinguishes the internal width, which is 30.5. What you'll notice though is these rims have a very tall profile, and that's going to come into play here shortly. I'll discuss what that means. They also laced this wheel set up to their 805 hub, which has 10 degrees of engagement. Now, a hub's ultimate performance is really long-term, how well it holds up long-term. However, the first impressions on a hub are typically the engagement. Now, it's got 10 degrees of engagement, which compared to my i9 1.1 hubs is about, I think, 6 degrees less. However, hubs with poor engagement, you'll notice there's a distinguishable clunk, clunk when you go to engage the hub. This one has just enough engagement that I don't notice that clunking sound. So really, the engagement hasn't been an issue for me. For that matter, I really haven't even noticed it compared to my 1-to-1 hubs. These are kind of middle of the road. I wouldn't say they're bad. I wouldn't say that they're standout great. They're completely fine. I'm happy with their performance so far. If you are a sound hound, this is what they sound like. So these aren't quiet, but they aren't loud. They're middle of the road. Now, after beating on them for a month, aside from some cosmetic scrapes and scratches and scuffs, they've held up very well. No issues. All the spokes are true as they were the day I got them. So just a housekeeping note, I rode that trail wet. I made sure I was not leaving ruts. Anywhere where I felt like I would leave a rut, I walked it. In any rut that I did leave unintentionally, I went back and packed it down. So that's just good trail stewardship. Now, this trail system I'm riding now is Frederick Watershed. For that matter, if you're familiar with Trail One components, they named a wheel set the Shed, named after this place, because this place is known to brutalize wheels. Over the past month, I've definitely made some bad decisions, took some bad lines, and the rims definitely barked at me because of the contact they made with some unfortunate rocks. But all in all, they've held up very well. So I have no concern of durability. These roots are going to be very slippery today. Remember how I said these have a tall profile, and I don't doubt that they can plow through nearly anything. That tall profile though makes them very unforgiving as far as vertical compliance. So you are going to feel a lot of the bumps and chatter on the trail. Now, is that necessarily a bad thing? Not necessarily. You just have to adapt how you ride. And for me, I just made some minor adjustments to the suspension as well as my tire pressure. And it really reduced a lot of this trail chatter. The benefit of stiff and little vertical compliance is that when you push into the trail, you feel exactly what you need to feel and you'll get out of it exactly what you need to get out of it. For that matter, when I put these wheels on, the very first thing I noticed was that they felt very light, far more noticeably lighter than my WR1 wheel set. And the fact of the matter is, as a full 29er, they're heavier. However, that vertical stiffness is very responsive. So every little undulation in the trail, every route that I want to pop off of, there's this immediate response and it makes them just feel light. Now, I should say carbon rims as a whole are far more stiffer than aluminum rims, and you will feel more chatter in carbon rims. However, the WR1 triads that I was riding, they have a lot of vertical compliance, and I didn't realize how much of that chatter they actually absorb. So you get more of a connected to the trail sensation. You don't feel that chatter. However, I've also noticed that they're a little bit less responsive. I ride flats and I wouldn't say the chatter causes my feet to bounce off the pedals. Now on a full 29er, I typically run 24 PSI in the rear and 22 up front. I don't doubt that these rims could push through a boulder field and move boulders out of the way, but they're going to be stiffer, right? Lateral flex is another important thing that you need to know. Let's climb back to the top and we'll talk about it. Anytime I jump on a bike with aluminum rims, the first thing I notice is the lateral flex. Now, lateral flex in all of the aluminum rims that I have ridden is a dead zone. Now, if you ride very actively and you lean your bike over and you push into your bike or push into the trail, whether it's a berm or a flat turn, your wheels will flex laterally, side to side, and aluminum rims kind of do that. Carbon rims are generally very rigid, so when you tip your bike over and push into it, they don't flex. And my WR1 rims are perhaps the stiffest rims laterally that I've ever ridden. While they have a lot of compliance vertically, they're very, very stiff laterally. Like a train on the tracks, wherever you point it, it'll go. Now, aluminum rims, they have that dead zone. So say I put 100% effort into whatever I'm doing, whether I'm pushing out of a berm or pumping a flat turn. If I put 100% of effort into it, those aluminum wheels are gonna absorb a large percentage of that. So I may only get like 80% feedback out of my motions. Now these NOMADIK 305s, riding, flow trails or pumping out of turns, they immediately felt strangely fast. They felt very reactive out of turns. And after riding for a while, I realized that these do have lateral flex. They have side-to-side flex. But unlike aluminum wheels, the flex on these almost magnifies the force you put in. So if you put, say, 100% of force into these, they'll feel very lively and snappy out of the turns. So you'll get like 120% 100% feedback. It's a wild feeling. So no doubt these feel way faster in turns. They just load up with energy and they snap out with energy. Now, inconsistent lateral flex can be a bad thing because you're kind of always wondering what the result's going to be. So far, I've found these to be very consistent. You know exactly what you're gonna get when you push into these berms. I gotta watch out for down trees. They feel so lively and snappy. It's really a cool sensation if you like that sort of thing. Paired with their vertical stiffness, it makes for a very interesting ride. Now I understand many riders might prefer more of a consistent lateral feel, you know, a stiffer rim laterally. And I understand, I get that. But if you like feedback out of your bike, if you're pushing into these berms and you want results, these rims are gonna give it to you. Whew. That was a berm bunny hop. So as I was talking about lateral flex and the benefit of that, so guys, that has been my honest impression of these wheels. Again, they didn't tell me to say anything. It's just a small company out of Santa Barbara. I think as far as the value goes, they're great value for carbon wheels. But I think if you're in the market for a carbon wheel set, you want a tough wheel set, and you can get behind all the things that I said based on my experience, these are worth checking out. So NOMADIK Wheel Co. out of Santa Barbara, California. Again, these are the El Capitan Enduro wheels with the 805 hubs. Ratchet, 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 ratchet.